Okay, so we are going to do a demo on basic pump control. So we'll start with clicking on our pump. Pump brings up a control panel, shows us our current status, whether it's good, inactive, or in alarm state. So this gray is inactive, no alarms. Then we have a green, which means everything's good, everything's no alarms, and then we have a red, which means that we have an alarm happening. Control point. So we have inactive, manual off, manual on, and automatic. Inactive means we send an off command out to the field device, but we're not monitoring it to actually make sure it turned off. We can see that in the control monitor status window, but we can't actually, it's not going to generate any alarms. It ignores any alarms happening in the field. Manual off means that we're sending the off command to the field device, and if the pump does not turn off in the specified time, it will generate an alarm. Right now everything's off, so there's no alarms. Manual on means we're sending command out to the field that we want the pump to run, and the pump, if it does not turn on, it will generate an alarm. And then automatic uses our primary and secondary levels to automate the pump for on and off cycles. So we're going to focus on that primarily today. Right now we have the pump in manual off. Notice the color is a light gray, and everything's good. The pump is all off completely. Then we have a manual on, which will turn our pump to a bright green, a bright blue. And after our time off, time delay, turn on. So we have our control run, our tank levels going up. Obviously it's a fake tank level. And then we have automatic. Right now it's going to go to stop because we have absolutely no start and stop times, no on-off times or levels. Alright, so we have three modes for automated control. We have time control, we have level control, and we have time and level control. So for time control, it's similar to a time clock on the field. You can set a start time and a stop time. The pump will run between those times regardless of level. So for example, if I was to set this from midnight until 15:54, because that's our current time, the pump's going to turn on, it's going to run for a few seconds and then turn off because of our time clock up here. So the pump is running, and notice we say run, run. Now we are in stop, because we are after 15:54, which is 3:54 in the afternoon. Alright, our levels are zeros, so you notice it says run down here, meaning that based on level control, it should be running. And it only says run because we have zero level, but we have times. If we clear the times, they'll both go to stop, stop. Now, for level control, we can set this for a, whenever you're making major adjustments to your levels, set it for inactive. So say we wanted this thing to turn on at 2 feet, but we wanted it to turn off at 4.5 feet. Notice it's going to go to run because our current control level is below our current on level or start level. So also notice that we have run below the time because we have levels. When you don't have any times, it's going to automatically default to level control only, regardless of the time. So we'll set this to auto, and notice the pump is going to go ahead and turn on. Alright, so we'll have our tank filling up. We're going to hit 4.5 and shut down because we got this updating really rapidly, and we have an on-off delay, so it's a little bit delayed. So we're back below 2 feet. It's going to turn on, and it'll just continue this cycle endlessly until you turn it off or the time is set. So let's go ahead and enforce it with a timer rule. So let's set this to run from 3 o'clock in the afternoon until midnight. So from 3 o'clock in the afternoon until midnight, it'll run for between 2 and 4.5 feet. Now, from midnight to 3 o'clock in the afternoon, currently we have no control. So that means that we turn that pump off and leave it off. So let's go ahead and give us another specific point. So let's set this to turn off at 13:56:30. So 3:56 and 30 seconds in the afternoon, it will continue running on this start and stop level. Alright, so let's turn it on because we're below 2 feet again. And this update rate is extremely fast. It's not taking into consideration anything that's actually happened in the field. It's all just for demonstration. So in about 10 seconds, a little over 10 seconds, we should have this go to stop on the time. Notice that the run is currently staying on the level. Alright, so there we're in stop. So now we have, even though we are below the on level, it's not going to turn on simply because we're outside of the timer. Now the force started on, what that would do is, if say the tank level was at 3.2 in this example, if we had the force started on, this pump would automatically turn on at 3 o'clock, so long as it's below 4.5. And it would run it until 4.5 or until the stop time. Now the force stop it off, that forces this to toggle. So long as it is above 2 feet, it would turn off the pump. So what that's useful for is to toggle this off only and let it only run as long as it gets below this 2 feet, regardless of the time. So if we set this to force stop it off at 3:56:30, if the tank level was above 2 feet, it would force it off. And say it stayed above 2 feet until 3 o'clock, we had this off, it would stay in that position. It would stay off until it gets to 2 feet. What this is used for is if, say, you want to force your pump to run at midnight, a specific time, regardless of the current level. So here we have it set from midnight till 3:56:30. So at midnight, if this tank level was above 2 feet and below 4.5, and this was set to stop, it would force it to run. So you can always have a guaranteed run sequence on a specific day. And keep in mind, secondary does exactly the same as primary, but allows you to run 2 separate levels and times. Such as if you wanted to have this run from midnight until 6, you could have levels just for that time frame, and then you can have 24-hour levels. So anytime not within 0 to 6, you can have, okay, we want to turn on at 1.5 and turn off at 4. And what that would do is anytime this goes below 1.5, it will turn on regardless of this set point. They run independently. So then we move over to the on-peak, off-peak. So the on-peak, off-peak is a schedule to prevent the pump from running during certain times of the day. And that involves a calendar. We have the time of use calendar up here. We click on this, and we set a start and stop for the calendar. So most times it starts on July. Typically it's the first Sunday of July, but everybody's schedule is a little bit different, so you have to check with your specific power provider. So we'll set this just for, oh, got that wrong. And then we can select the days we want this to run on. So we'll do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. All right. So notice that we have a yellow indicator up here above the calendar telling us that we are on time of use calendar. All right. So say we wanted this pump to run, to turn off, even in auto control, only specific times. We can say we want this thing to run until, well, we just kind of hit that time there. So we'll go ahead and set this for a little bit in the future. And notice the pump is turning off. We have this yellow indicator telling us that it's in time of use off. And this pump will not turn on during time of use. Except if we set a fire flow. Fire flow is good for setting a point that during time of use you absolutely must keep this tank or pressure full, or whatever it happens to be monitoring. If this absolutely must have a point where the well or pump turns on, this is where you set the fire flow. That is one of the few things that will override time of use, the other being manual on. But you can set this checkbox on manual on to force the pump to turn off during time of use. So we can make time of use control everything, even if you set it into a manual on or hand position at the computer. Alright, so we're getting a few more seconds, and then this thing is going to go to run. Our yellow indicator goes away, and the pump turns on. And that is it for the basic pump control.